Hello, JGOOT Lounge. Welcome to Office Hours. It's Thursday, and as you know, Thursdays are reserved for any and all questions that you have as you're making your way through learning the JGOOT way of travel. So feel free to chime in with any questions you've got, and I will get to those after we talk about our newest feature, checkpoints. It's been out for a couple weeks now. We've got a lot of members who are not quite sure how to take advantage of it. So I just thought I'd do a brief walkthrough to help explain what our goal is with it, and what we're hoping to accomplish with being able to help you get through the JGOOT way of travel and get as much support from myself, from our various experts who are dying to help share their passion for travel with you. So, hello, folks. Feel free to chime in. Let me know where you're watching from. Just let me know that you're hearing me, and I can address those. By the way, there should be a link above to StreamYard.com/Facebook where you can authorize your account, so I'll see who is typing in questions. Because by default it'll show as an anonymous Facebook user. Otherwise, I can see pictures. So hi, Stephanie from Greece, and hi, Doug from Salt Lake. Hi, Laura from Phoenix, Seattle. All right, we're coming in from all over the place. Welcome. Let's jump in and start talking about checkpoints. So we introduced this a couple weeks ago because we've found that so many folks they had more questions than could be answered just via comments in the Facebook group. And we were kind of all over the place in office hours, some beginner questions, some advanced questions. Beginners were feeling overwhelmed with the advanced questions, and advanced members were probably hearing a lot of repetition about beginner terms that people naturally have questions about. So checkpoints is our way of trying to remedy that. Basically, right now we have 6 different checkpoints, and they're pretty much in order of beginning to intermediate to advanced. And they all kind of allow you to check in as you're going through the home study course, and you can check in at your own pace. So they're kind of designed so you can kind of set up an office hour with one of our experts every couple weeks as you're making your way through the home study course. But if you want, you can do it every week. You can check in multiple times a week. It's mostly just a matter of when our experts are available. They've all agreed to make themselves available once a week for their designated checkpoint. So with that said, why don't I give you a little tour of what this is? First of all, you just want to go to jgootlounge.com/checkpoints. This is a separate login. It does require a separate login so that we can help you keep track of the prerequisite videos that you'll want to have watched before you attend a private checkpoint session with one of our experts. Carrie, it does look like your StreamYard is working. So, but thanks for chiming in. Glad to see you. Hey, Tara. Hey, Frederick, Maryland. I think that's Jerry. Good to see y'all. Ooh, Terry from Carlsbad. Got a very good friend in Carlsbad. So checkpoints. Basically, again, we've got these designed from beginner checkpoints to advanced. In theory, you would kind of make your way through the beginning section of JGOOT and attend a beginning checkpoint. And this is your onboarding session with Stephanie. So at the very least, we recommend that you watch these prerequisites before setting up a checkpoint session with Stephanie. She'll give you a personal walkthrough of JGOOT Lounge, where you can find things, how you can find things, and so on. But there are a few things that you'll want to just familiarize yourself with before you have that session, because there will be certain things that we're just assuming you'll have watched and taken notes on. These are all things that are in the home study course, but like these videos in particular are probably 20%, like the most important 20% of your home study course. So we just want to make sure that you've gotten to that point before you set up your meeting with Stephanie, so that you can ask any clarifying questions about those, or so that she can help get you ready for the next checkpoint. So all you have to do is log in, set up your account at jgootlounge.com/checkpoints, and you're in. And as you can see by these check boxes, these are all videos that I've watched. Once you've got check boxes all across the board, you can then say, okay, I want to set an appointment with Stephanie. It just kind of says, okay, it reminds you, have you watched the prerequisites? Because there'll be certain things that we'll say that we'll assume that you've learned. And we don't want to constantly repeat ourselves on those very, very common questions. So that's why we recommend watching those videos first. After you do that, you can just go down to the calendar, find when Stephanie is available. She usually has Monday sessions too. I'm not quite sure why that's not showing, but whatever the case, you can find a time to set up your office hour with Stephanie, and she'll help you get all the basics out of the way so that you can keep moving forward with learning the home study course. The next one is checkpoint 2. I see that Mira is up. It's middle of the night for Mira. I think it's, I don't know, very, 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 very late at night, but she's sick and quarantined in Bulgaria. So hi, Mira. Mira is in charge of checkpoint 2. This is a really fun one. This addresses probably the most common question that most of our members have when they're all excited to get into the point hacking game. And that question is, what card should I get next? And the answer is never the same. Sometimes there might be a card you should get next. Sometimes you just need to learn how to maximize the cards you have. And Mira is going to help you figure that out. So when you sign up for Mira's checkpoint, again, we do ask that you have gotten through at least all of the beginning section of the home study course. And that includes at least this video. We definitely want you watching why we start with Chase, because that's a very, very common question. So we want that out of the way. We don't want to have Mira spend half of her office hour explaining why you should. We just assume you've watched that video. We'll assume you've watched the Chase trifecta video. We'll assume you've watched the Amex trifecta video. After you've done that, you can schedule an appointment with Mira. And as you'll see, this has a questionnaire. So basically, you're going to get to tell her, like, you're going to verify, yes, I've watched the videos Joel told me to watch. And then you're going to tell her what cards you have. You're going to tell her how many points you have with airlines, how many points you have with flexible points, how many hotel points. She, being a doctor who analyzes charts every day as a part of her career, will look at those charts and say, okay, you're really strong here. You're really weak here. It sounds like you love the Caribbean and Mexico and occasionally Europe. Based on that, I would recommend shifting your spend this way. And no, you don't need a new card, or yeah, I would get a new card as soon as possible because these points are a lot harder to work with, or whatever. So there is no specific answer, which is why we have checkpoints. And we've got an expert who is a master of getting the most, who has become a master of getting the most out of her points, who's going to say, okay, you're looking great. I'd do a little more of this. I'd tweak that. And you're on your way. That's checkpoint 2. You can attend this as often as you like. Mira is probably going to be very popular at this topic, so she may, lump your questions in with other people, because there are kind of categories of people. We have a lot of people who have a ton of Marriott points. We have a lot of people who have a ton of Capital One points, and you're welcome to attend this session as often as you like. But if you are in it on a constant basis, we'll probably take care of the newer members and answer their questions alongside yours. So theoretically, 6 weeks in, you're going to want to check in with Katie. Katie is our bargain traveler expert, cash deal expert. She doesn't do a whole lot of the point finagling. She's mostly excellent at finding amazing cash deals. She and her family aim to travel at least once monthly, and they, for the most part, do it, including through most of COVID. So they're very, very good at stretching their travel dollars as far as possible so that they don't need a lot of points. So we're going to kind of keep things in balance. Remember, the JGOOT Way is about a good balance of Rule 1 and Rule 2. This is entirely focusing on Rule 1 strategies and creative thinking strategies that will help you stretch your travel dollars farther, as well as stretch your points farther by knowing the strategies that Katie will teach you at checkpoint 3. Yes, Mira is very popular. She is like the head cheerleader of JGOOT Lounge. So that's checkpoint 3. And again, all of these, basically, we've got each of our experts to commit to at least 1 hour a week, with the exception of Stephanie, who has 2 times a week where she can do onboarding calls. And eventually we'll have replays available. So even if you can't make the office hour, we're going to have a replay available because most of the time we'll be repeating very similar discussions, but because of the way this is designed. So checkpoint 4, you're then going to meet Kira. Kira is our organic point earning queen. And by that, I mean that she doesn't really do sign-up bonuses a whole lot. She doesn't believe in juggling lots and lots of different credit cards. But they do take 1 or 2 really big trips that are paid for almost entirely by points. And the way they do that is by being very, very smart on how they use their existing credit cards. So Kira is going to help make sure that the cards you have are earning as many points as feasibly possible. So that for those prerequisites, you're going to get to know Kira, what her overall philosophy is. You're going to want to watch her Every Point Counts video, and I would recommend watching it a couple times with a notepad in hand. It's very, very good information. I didn't know most of this before starting JGOOT, and I attended this class, and I had to watch it again. There's very, very valuable information in here, especially if you're an Amex card holder. And it might sway you towards getting an Amex card, which you'll learn about in checkpoint 2 when you watch the Amex trifecta video. So there is a method to our madness. We are building you up from beginner stages to expert stages, and we're going to hold your hand each step of the way. And we've got experts who are experts, especially in those areas, who are going to help answer any questions that you have. And again, every one of these, we don't publish a schedule, largely because every single one of our experts have full-time day jobs. Travel is their passion, but it's not their career. And so they are very, very good at what they do on the travel side, but it's not their career. And so basically, they've agreed to set aside at least 1 office hour a week to help you with the questions that you have. And the side effect of having experts who travel a lot is that sometimes they can't be pinned down to the exact same time every week. So we don't ever publish a schedule. We will allow you to attend live if you're available, when they're available, and that can be scheduled via Calendly. And you will have a seat at their office hour so they can make sure that they're giving you their full attention. And that might change. Sometimes it's, Kira might do it. I believe she's on Wednesdays. But if she's traveling, she might shift it that week to a Friday. So we're giving them that right so that it doesn't infringe on their travel schedule. But they can still fit in an hour a week as needed for those checkpoints. So hopefully that answers that question. I don't see any questions about checkpoints. Feel free to chime them in here, and I will address those. Otherwise, I'll just assume this is making sense and you know how to take advantage of this. And we can move on to other questions that are normally what office hours are intended for. Let's see, checkpoint 5. So as you can see, we're kind of getting a little more advanced each step of the way. Checkpoint 5, we're getting into some serious stuff. You want to watch each one of these videos before you schedule your one-on-one, not one-on-one, before you schedule your Zoom office hours with Tom. Tom knows how to get every ounce possible out of the miles that you have. He knows how to manipulate those, and he knows transfer partners inside and out. He knows first class travel inside and out. He's been on pretty much every aircraft that is worth mentioning, that includes, luxury first class seats. And you're going to want to have watched all of these videos before you schedule your appointment with Tom. So as you can see, it's always the same format. You can pick a time. It looks like Tom is available Mondays. And again, ideally, you will know all the material in checkpoints 1 through 4, 1 through 5 before meeting with Tom, because again, we want this to be as powerful an office hour as possible for you. And we don't want to, Tom's going to be talking about advanced concepts, and we don't want to, take a half hour of the hour available talking about the 524 rule or what a positioning flight is or other things that have been covered in earlier checkpoints. That doesn't mean that you can't skip straight to section 5 if you're coming in as an advanced user, but it does mean that we're assuming that you have a lot of those terms under your belt. You know what 524 is. You know what positioning flights are. You know the penny per point rule, or a rough idea of what it is. You know the $120 rule. These are all things that we build up to that we're just assuming are given by the time you get to this advanced stage. So let's see. Ken says he saw checkpoint 789 at some place. I think you might be thinking of the guides. We actually have 10 sections of guides in the home study course of Facebook. And I know that because I just added section 10, which is dedicated exclusively to Hyatt Globalist. They don't necessarily go hand in hand. They are kind of organized from beginner to advanced content, but checkpoints are kind of designed to just check in every couple weeks. This is designed to be a 12-week program, and you can check in with an expert every couple weeks. Technically, you can check in with 6 experts every week if you want, but that's probably more than you need. Diane, yes, that's the hope. I mean, we were working on this for months, largely because there were tons of questions that are just very difficult to answer via comment in Facebook, even with screenshots, even with the ability to do live sessions, even with office hours. It's kind of hard when you have advanced questions piled in there right alongside beginner questions. And it's hard to keep both ends of the spectrum happy. The beginners feel overwhelmed with all the advanced discussions, and the advanced people are kind of saying, yeah, I learned that like 3 months ago. Can we talk about this advanced stuff that I want to learn? So this is designed to hopefully help with that. And then finally, checkpoint 6 is where we get into some crazy gymnastics with points. This is ultra advanced stuff. This is Andy's territory, and although Andy could cover any and all of these checkpoints, and might sometimes, because we've also got our experts who will sometimes substitute for each other. Although Andy could cover all of those areas, his highest and best use is to share his knowledge on ultra luxury things, such as Hyatt Globalist, such as stretching your points as far as possible in the lie flat seats, getting private suites, having a points strategy for overwater bungalows or African safaris. So basically, Andy is in charge of our bookshelf series and all questions that revolve around that. And those are all more sophisticated point engineering strategies that go beyond just having a basic foundation of points, so that you're always, so that you're protected for a free vacation or 2 a year. This goes far beyond that. And the concepts that go around that are far more advanced. So of course, we're having Andy be in charge of that section. And you can read all about Andy in his introduction section for checkpoint 6. So that's what we've got. And as I said, this is meant to go alongside your home study course. It's meant to complement your home study course so that as you're going along the way, if office hours, aren't convenient for you, if you can't make Thursdays at 1:30 Pacific, or if you feel like it's a beginner question that you don't want to ask because there might be a lot of advanced members in the office hours, then you can use the checkpoints as often as you like. Like I said, they're designed so that every couple weeks we'll kind of send a reminder of say, hey, it's time for checkpoint 2. Let's have you check in with Mira and do an assessment of your point strategy. You can attend that 3 or 4 times if you want. And then only once you're comfortable do you move on to the next checkpoint. So it's designed so you can bounce around however you like. You can ask whatever questions you like. We do assume that you have watched the material in all checkpoints previous to that. We do assume that, checkpoint 3, you're probably midway through your intermediate content in the home study course. We assume that checkpoints 5 and 6, you're at least through the advanced stuff and hopefully into the ultra advanced stuff. So as long as, you kind of understand that, you should be right on pace for graduating our program with all the skills you need to step on a plane in first class anywhere in the world, entirely on points if you want. And you should have the tools to be able to wash, rinse, and repeat that as often as you like. It's really just kind of like, you can dial the volume up or down as much as you like after you learn how to apply these skills. Well, I've been talking a lot. I don't see any questions about checkpoints or just general office hour questions. So why don't you, feel free to chime in with any questions you have. Let's cover some checkpoint questions first, and then we can go on to anything that you're encountering, any questions that you have, and I'd be glad to answer them as best I can. If not, then we can wrap this up and call it a nice, tidy 20-some minute presentation that'll be a very convenient recording to have in the library for the future. Hey, Kira, good to see you. You just took a recent dive trip, didn't you? Hi, PR. I hope things are going well with the recent surgery. Brooke asks, and I think she's passing this along because she probably gets this a lot. You can absolutely sign up for a checkpoint meeting more than once. So although this is designed to kind of have you attend every couple weeks so that you can check in with an expert for the level of earning or of learning that you're at, you can absolutely attend the same one every week. If you just want to learn as much as you can from Andy every week, that's fine. Just know that if you skip straight to that, we're assuming that you know what the 524 rule is. We know that you know what positioning flights are, that you know how to determine redemption value of your points, that you know not to throw points away for less than a penny a piece, and you're aiming for 2, 4, 10, 12 cents a piece. Yeah, although you can attend as many of these office hours as you like, we do ask that, if you are a repeat attendee, you save the questions for the newer members who are going through it in order. And we're also assuming that you will kind of get up to speed for that checkpoint, and that, we won't disrupt an advanced topic with beginner questions, and vice versa. You won't hop in a beginning topic and overwhelm the beginners that are in that group with advanced questions. So that's probably really the only, I'm not even going to say restriction, but assumption if you're going to attend multiple checkpoints several times in a row. Let's see. So PR asks, are we able to meet with an expert as soon as you've checked off the checkpoints? Yes. And again, so each level has prerequisites. And we're kind of assuming that you have gone through, so if you sign up for checkpoint 3, we're assuming that you've gone through the prerequisites and gone through the beginner content that are summarized in checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2. Yeah, I mean, you're as soon as you've done that, yes, you can schedule a time with an expert. Technically, you can schedule a time with any of the experts anytime you like, subject to their availability, which will be viewable on each of their sign up pages. And yeah, you can do that as often as you like, as you know, as soon as you've kind of checked off those checkpoints and watched those videos. Pretty much honor system. We're not, just you don't need these box checked off. You may have watched them in the home study course, and you can say, "Yep, saw that one, saw that one, saw that one." Still have some questions about this one. Maybe I might want to watch it again. But yeah, there's nothing saying you can't. Like if you've watched them in the home study course, this system doesn't know that, and you can skip straight to scheduling an appointment. Ken, this looks like an office hour question. I'll come to that after we wrap up our checkpoint questions. Let's see. How do you see where to check off? So the system just like after you've visited that page, it will check it off for you. So you don't manually have to do it. And I believe technically you just have to be on the page for more than a few minutes and it'll check it off. So that's mostly handled for you. Lori, one of our veteran members who joined since very, very early, is asking, can the old timers have checkpoint meetings? So yes, this is the thing that I'm most excited about. Our old timers are our best fans and have been great about spreading the word and evangelizing the JGOOT way of travel. And basically, we do have a continuity fee. And as long as you remain in JGOOT Lounge, you have access to checkpoints. So this isn't an upsell. This isn't anything that you have to, re-enroll in or anything like that. So if you're still an existing member of JGOOT Lounge, you get access to checkpoints. There are ongoing costs to that. Let's not talk about it for the sake of the recording, but you should all know the cost of continuing in the program past 12 weeks and how that can be waived by being an evangelist of the JGOOT way of travel. Are the questions only for checkpoints? So for the most part, all of these checkpoints cover all of the bases, most of the bases of the JGOOT way of travel. Andy can cover any and all globalist questions. He can cover any and all first class questions, all points questions, all cash deal questions, etc. We do ask that if you're attending a rule number 1 review, that those be cash questions and positioning flight questions and things that have to do with that checkpoint. Otherwise, if you have general interest questions, that's what Thursday office hours are for. So if it doesn't seem like your questions fit in one of these checkpoints, you can attend a Thursday office hour or you can post your question to the lounge. But I would say that 90% of the questions that we get are covered in these checkpoints. You just have to choose which one is the most appropriate to attend. Kenneth, we'll come back to yours after we covered all the rest of the checkpoint questions. Yep, so Brooke just reinforced that. Attend office hours or just post to the comments section in the Facebook group after you've searched for an answer. Because I would say that odds are about 90-95% that if you have a question, it's probably been asked and discussed a lot. So I would say, anytime you have a question, the quickest way to find an answer is to search for it in our Facebook group. Look, and if you don't want to watch a video, scroll through the comments under the video. That's usually a pretty good indicator of whether or not the video is going to answer your question. And sometimes just the comments in that thread will answer your question as well. So if you don't find it in the existing discussions, then sure, feel free to post it to the group or attend an Thursday office hour, which is meant for any and all questions. I think that's a reply to someone else's question. Okay, so that looks like that's all of the checkpoint questions. If you have any others, feel free to chime them in. Otherwise, we can wrap this up, and I'll just do this one snippet as a checkpoint video for future people who couldn't attend live. And I only see one other question about travel in general, so I'll go ahead and answer that. And now let's move on to just our typical office hours for any questions that you have. So other people may have better answers than me, and if so, please feel free to chime in the comments below. But Kenneth asks, lots of different sites say different things about international travel and COVID restrictions. Any of them up to date? Honestly, I don't know of any one tool that is 100% up to date. I tend to rely on the bigger, more reliable sites. Kayak has an excellent one. Google has an excellent one. I typically kind of do my top level research with those. And I mean, you can just Google it, COVID travel restrictions, and Kayak's tool usually comes up pretty high. And if it doesn't, add Kayak to your search. And the same with Google's search tool, and that will give, and a lot of the travel sites will tell you what travel restrictions are. I never rely on that information alone. If I decide I'm going to book, when we decided we booked our trip to Costa Rica, we narrowed in on flights. We were pretty sure we were going to pull the trigger. And in fact, Mira would argue that you should pull the trigger because you've got 24 hours to cancel and get a refund. And then as soon as you're pretty sure you're going to go to a certain country, then just do your individual research. And personally, I just Google that and I go to government sources. I make sure to check with the government authority with that country to find out what the travel restrictions are. If we didn't do that, we would have been caught by surprise, and we wouldn't have been turned around, but it would have cost us a couple hours at the airport in Costa Rica because we couldn't have gone there without having the insurance that they require. They don't care about testing. You don't have to have a positive or a negative test to enter the country. You just need to have insurance that if you catch it while you're there, you're covered. And they charge every visitor to their country that. So every country is going to have different rules, and I couldn't begin to say what the single best source is. My MO is to kind of do some initial research, find out how easy it is to, or how restrictive or not restrictive that country's restrictions are. And then I will go and look for information on a government source for that country. And pretty much every country has that. I will certainly pass on any other feedback that comes in. Katie kind of reinforced my point. Kayak is her favorite go-to for international travel. It's a world map that's color coded and says what countries are extremely restrictive, if not off limits, and what countries aren't. And there is a URL that's in the comments. So thank you, Katie. Katie is our checkpoint 3 expert. And Brooke said that Kayak's tool is also crowdsourced. So it's pretty, and crowdsourced things are typically pretty up to date. So I think that sounds pretty unanimous. Most of us go to Kayak first. And I would guess that after we do our initial research on Kayak, we just go and do some individual research on that individual country where we're thinking of going, or state. We ran into some concerns just going to Chicago. So yeah, I would just check on a case-by-case basis. And Brooke, so speaking of government entities, she said that the U.S. Embassy in that country is also a very helpful resource if you're thinking of visiting a certain country. You can call or email them. So thank you, Brooke, for that bit of information. Well, folks, I think that covers all of our questions. If I missed any, please copy and paste them down below, and I'll address them. Otherwise, I think we can let you get back to your Thursday. And yeah, I don't see any other questions. Oh, one new one. Ken loves that map. I was hoping to go to Peru instead of Colombia. And it sounds like that map said maybe not. Okay, another new question. I am going to defer. I'm going to ask that someone reply to this. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. I will say that if you have a premium travel credit card, they cover a lot of the things that most travel insurance covers. And there are specific circumstances that, you know, you might want additional insurance above and beyond. I'm pretty sure Katie is well versed in this. She can reply. Tom, I know, has given some very good recommendation on insurance, and I know there's one very much one go-to insurance company that is heavily recommended inside the lounge. So if one of you guys could mention that, that'd be great, because I can't think of it off the top of my head. Very good. I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to say we can probably wrap this up. Thanks for joining me, everyone. We've got about a third of you guys registered for checkpoints. So again, this is included in your lounge membership. It is available as long as you are an active member. And if you haven't been kicked out of the group, you're an active member. Yeah, hopefully we get to see a lot more of you registered in checkpoints. I know we've got experts who are anxious to share their section of knowledge with you. They've all got, you know, slots set aside for office hours once a week, and we encourage you to attend them as often as you like. There we go. I think we can call that a day. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. And we'll talk to you. Actually, I won't talk to you next week. I'm going to be in Mexico City, and I'm actually taking the time off. Some of our experts are going to cover for me. So I will talk to you in a couple weeks, and I'll, of course, continue to chime in the group, and y'all have a great couple weeks. Happy travels.